Hi everyone, so I wanted to make a video about a question I get asked surprisingly often, which is basically how do you stop a porn addiction? And should you stop a porn addiction? So, we're talking about an addiction to pornography specifically, not just masturbation. In my experience, pornography is not necessarily a healthy form of sexuality. It's including a whole different energy that comes with the industry of porn. A lot of times, after a person masturbates to porn, they feel an energy of guilt and shame, and I believe that that actually gets picked up because of the nature of the porn industry and the actors and basically the people that go into the profession. Anything that you essentially have an orgasm while holding a thought to or like holding an energy with, it becomes somewhat of an energetic connection that you're creating. Aside from that, it's not necessarily an intimate practice, and many times it's used as an escape from having to connect intimately with a person, maybe because it's too annoying to deal with dating or you can't form connections with someone, so it can become a perpetual escape from actually seeking the intimacy that you subconsciously really do want. While I do find that sexuality and masturbation is a healthy practice, I don't find that the tension and release orgasms that happen with porn are necessarily healthy way of masturbating. Most of the time when people are led to porn, it's almost like it's for that rush of that good feeling, that dopamine. It's literally can become like a drug where you're doing it, and the more you do it, actually, the more you become bonded to it because it's essentially like a sexual experience. Even though it's not a real person, you're releasing those sexual energies and bonding hormones with whatever you are watching, and it becomes a perpetual kind of process that you want to keep going back and doing it. It seems that in the past few years, pornography was a lot more normalized and people didn't see any harm to it, and now people are sort of waking up to the fact that it is indeed habit forming and can be destructive to a person and to relationships as well. So, what I recommend to stop a habit to porn addiction is not necessarily to stop masturbation altogether. I would recommend trying to continue masturbation without the pornography and to begin almost a meditative practice while you're masturbating. So when you initially feel the sexual impulses, sort of asking yourself what is the driving force behind wanting to engage in the masturbation. Are you wanting to escape from something? Are you wanting to feel good? Or is it a natural desire? And sort of understanding the feeling from your initial impulse to the whole practice, being observant of what's going on while you're masturbating. It's important as well to change that false belief that you need pornography or you need a specific type of visual experience in order to get off. I think to start it, you can use sort of your imagination or past sexual experiences, anything that gets you aroused to sort of help you initially get off of the porn. But later on, like once you really learn to master this, and it really can become sort of a meditative practice, you can learn to enjoy the sexuality just from the sensual touch alone and just from sort of following the natural energy flow. Aside from a meditative practice, I would recommend finding other ways to channel the energy. Sexual energy is also creative energy. They're both connected to the sacral chakra. So you can find creative outlets if you're someone who likes music, writing or creating music, or if you have different ways in your work that you can be more creative, or just other ways of exerting that energy, because you don't want to push the energy down or suppress it or deny it, because that doesn't ever work. You want to transmute it and use it in a different form. So obviously tantric yoga is very good at that, but just more practically, you can work out more, or just find ways to release that high state of energy that doesn't always have to be sexual. And if it is sexual, doing it in moderation until you find the flow, until you feel that you're coming from a healthy place when you want to engage in self-pleasure. Again, I think the biggest obstacle to giving up pornography is a fear of intimacy. It is essentially the easiest sort of way to feel like you're having a human connection experience without actually having to connect. And so I would ask you to really look deep within and see where there might be some blocks to intimacy, or fears of intimacy, or past negative intimate experiences that can help you understand what's the driving force behind the addictive behavior.